Yo, welcome to Content is Profit. FONZI here today, no LUISDA. As you guys might have noted, he did the last episode, so it's my turn to shine here today with you guys. And today, we have a special topic. And we're going to be discussing all about, does the size of your following matters? What are the YouTube and Instagram numbers in terms of followers to users ratio, right? Can you make money with a small audience? And what is the size that does matter? Pun intended, maybe, who knows? All right, you ready? Let's dive into it.
We've got some fresh.
Hey, my name is FONZI and welcome to Content is Profit podcast. In here, you're gonna get the insights, accountability, and drive to create consistently and increase revenue. You'll hear from top entrepreneurs, creators, and anything and everything you need to know about content. All this while having a good time. The goal of this podcast is simple: to entertain, educate, and turn your content into profit. Let's go. Woo. I'm excited to be here with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Content is Profit. And if you are, kind of like waiting for the other brother, he's not coming today. But it's okay because it's my time to shine, time to step up into the podcasting platform and deliver some value to you guys. And as you might have, read on the title of this, on the headline of this episode today, we're talking about size doesn't matter. More specifically, the size of your following on social media doesn't matter when it comes to making money. But there is one size that does matter, and I'm going to be sharing that with you towards the end of the episode, so make sure you stay all the way through. And if you're not following us on social media, or if you're not subscribed to the podcast yet, make sure you smash that subscribe button, whether that is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is you listen to your podcast. And if you're not following in social media, make sure you follow us at BIZBROS Co. or Luis D. Camejo, or just Luis Camejo V, which is mine. I'm pretty sure you can just type Luis Camejo and you're going to see us both. We got an orange background profile picture. Very easy to spot. So what if we get started, right? Does the size of your following matters? And I got to be specific with this one. If you are looking, obviously, to just do sponsorship, some levels of sponsorship, right? If you are maybe a direct-to-consumer type of business, maybe the audience is a little bit more relevant, but I'm talking specifically today to B2B, right? Businesses that are selling to other businesses. So the size of your following matters. And let me tell you, the answer is no. It doesn't really matter. And we have plenty of examples. We've met a lot of people that have made a lot of money way before having some sort of audience. Some of them actually still don't have that much of a relevant audience in terms of size. They have a very relevant audience in terms of quality, right? So what are some of the numbers? I want to share this. Actually, today's episode was inspired by this Twitter's post that I saw from Roberto Blake. He's a Dominican and American Dominican creative entrepreneur. And he shared this. He said, YouTube by the numbers. So I checked, I was like, okay, what are his references? He did his research and, he pulled this from a few online kind of like databases. Statista is one of them. So here are the numbers. On YouTube, you got 2.6 billion users, billion with a B. That's a lot of people consuming content. Out of those, 113 million are channels, right? So 113 million YouTube channels, from which 28 million, about 20%, have less than 100 subscribers. Look at that. 10 million of those creators have less than 1,000. That is 7%. They have less than 1,000 subscribers. 2 million of those creators, 1.4%, have less than 10,000 subscribers, right? So imagine, you are already pretty much in the 1% if you have less than 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's pretty impressive. 320,000 creators, that's about 0.28%. Whew. They have around 100,000 subscribers. In here it says 100,000 and more. So in between 100,000 and a million subscribers. Then only 32,000 creators, that is 0.03%, have over a million subscribers. So between 1 million and 10 million. And then it goes 1,100 creators, so 0.001%. They have between 10 million and 50 million subscribers. 35 creators have between 50 millions and 100 million. And only 5 channels, right, have over 100 million subscribers. I'm not going to lie. I got to go into YouTube and check if that is 100% true about the 5 channels. But, you know, even if this data is old, I am pretty sure that it's not that much. If there's a difference, I'm pretty sure it's not that much, right? But 5 channels over 100 million. That is the 0.000004%. I might actually skip a zero in there. So that is obviously a fraction, tiny of it, that has that amount of followers. So going back to our premise, does size matter? Well, let me tell you. We are, if you go to our channel right now, we're probably a little bit over 100 subscribers. But when we made our first 6 figures, we didn't even have a YouTube channel. We weren't even posting yet on YouTube, right? So I feel like that's pretty impressive in itself. And since we started posting on YouTube, and yes, let me recall, not that intentionally as we should, right? Because our focus is in mainly other platforms, but we started doing shorts. We started putting our complete interviews on YouTube. We've actually done multiple 6 figures in there. So do you need a large following? Not really, right? What about Instagram? Instagram, by some numbers in here, you know, about what it says here, it's a little tiny. 9% of the people that use Instagram have between 0 and 1,000 followers. 30% have between 1,000 and 10,000 followers. And let me tell you, that is where we fall off, specifically more with my personal. I fall in that 30%. Then you got 36% are between 10K and 100K followers. And then about 20%, 100K to a million, 4%, 1 million to 10 million, and then 0.5% of Instagram users have more than 10 million. Now, this was taken from Statista. The statistics, I think they're from 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So sure, this have probably changed a little bit, but I'm sure they haven't changed that much. Now, what can you do with a big audience? Sure, there are products that have been, you know, born literally from just having an audience and then engaging with them, and then you create a product that speaks specifically to that audience. A good example is Bulletproof Coffee, right? He was a blogger, he was a podcaster, well, he still is, and he built a big community that wanted to know, you know, more about the biohacking, and he created a coffee based on that with biohacking that they use, you know, all these special ingredients, and now it's a multi-million-dollar brand. So sure, these big numbers can definitely help you, and they can be leveraged for many things. But just as there's people that have huge audiences that make huge amount of money, there are a lot of people that have big audiences and big numbers on their social medias that make no money at all. They don't know how to monetize this, right? So what other opportunities do you have if you have big numbers? Sure, you can get sponsorships, right? If you have a very specific niche, you can, you know, run sponsorships to your channel. You can do affiliate links, and then, you know, you sell to the volume of people that are consuming your content. Sure, there are plenty of ways if you have an audience, but building an audience requires a lot of time, effort, and consistency. It is a long-term game, and it should be taken like that, right? If you start posting, if you start creating content with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to do this, and immediately I'm going to try to get some sponsorships, some affiliates, right? Like all these things. I'm not going to say it is going to happen exactly this way, but you're probably setting up yourself for failure, because for those type of things, you might need a little bit more of traffic, a little bit more of eyeballs. But now if you have a B2B, right? Something you offer a service, you offer a course, a product, coaching program, whatever it is, right? On the B2B space, you don't really need these big numbers. What you need is opportunities to start conversations. And how do you create those opportunities? Well, that is the thing that the size matters. And we're going to be talking about that in just a little bit, right? So we talk a little bit of some ways on how can you make money if your audience is, you have a large audience, but what about how can we make money if we have a small audience, right? And, I think this is very important. This is a story just came to my mind. I remember we were in Boise, Idaho. We were at an event and we met this Canadian guy. He was from the French side. So he has this like deep French accent. And, he was extremely passionate. I'll say like borderline violent. I remember he practiced like MMA and everything, but he was a super cool guy. And we were talking to him about, at that time we weren't doing content momentum yet. At that time, we were pretty much just doing digital marketing on whatever we could get our hands to. And we were sharing with him our struggles on selling. Like, hey, man, we're going to these people and people are just asking us, okay, how many followers am I going to get? How many, like everything had to be with like the numbers of subscribers when we were trying to sell them, hey, we want to sell you the cash flow into your business. And he got all mad and he's like, well, this is what you should tell them. You should tell them, hey, what's going to put food on your table? Likes of cash or cash in your pocket, right? And we started cracking up, but we're like, wow, that is true, right? At the end of the day, a lot of people just, want those vanity metrics, but is that really what's going to help their business? And the answer is no. You need to find ways to monetize that small audience. We have another friend, right? She's awesome. She's actually been on the podcast. I don't remember the number of her episode, but her name is Ina. And her whole thing is marketing to small audiences. And her message is, she did her first 6-figure before having 1,000 followers on Instagram. And if you go to her Instagram, she has very little amount of followers, and she keeps it that way on purpose. Of course, it resonates with their marketing message, but at the same time, having a small audience gives you an advantage that is engagement. You can communicate better with the people that are following you. You can give them a better treatment, right? You can send them voice notes, message with them, rather than if you have a huge audience and then, they just become a number. So make sure you follow Ina. I'm going to leave her information below just if you want to learn a little bit more of what she does with tiny audiences. Then I remember one of the episodes with Ethan Brooks, episode 304, if I'm not mistaken. He talks about the email marketing list. And yes, we talk about sponsorships with big numbers, but guess what? There are some very, very specific niche that you can make a lot of money even with a small list. So this guy has, I think it was around 1,000 subscribers, an email list, which is not that big. If you've read about email marketing before, 1,000 subscribers in an email list is nothing too crazy, not too massive. But this guy was making around 7 figures out of that. And that is absolutely impressive. And that's, basically sponsorships and deals with other companies, just because his niche was so specific that then he had leverage to talk to these other companies. Because if the niche is that specific, it's probably very difficult for that other company to find their clients, right? And if you have a conglomerate of them in your small, tiny following, guess what? You can leverage that for some money. Now, the last example is yourself, right? And I already kind of shared a little bit about this, but we have under 2,000 followers on Instagram. Again, nothing too crazy. And I think we got around 100 followers on YouTube. I have to double check that number, but we've made multiple 6 figures now in our business, right? In the last 2.5 years, 3 years. And yeah, it is not a crazy 7 figures, right? Or 8 figures. And we don't have a 2 Comma Club award, but every year we've been growing steadily. And by following our path, right? Which is create long form content, podcasting, multiply that content, just share it everywhere. And at the same time, put focus on building relationships. That's how we did it, right? We've been pretty transparent with this. A lot of the guests that we bring to the show are what we consider to be our dream customers. So we bring them onto the show, we build a relationship with them, we build rapport, and then we transition the conversation from, hey, let me use my platform to highlight you, to, hey, this is exactly what we do on the back end of our business, and we believe we can help you. Would you be interested in having a conversation and exploring that possibility? And since you already build rapport and trust with these people, most of them say, absolutely, I would love to see what you got. If it's not me, I probably know somebody that you can help, right? And that's how you start creating opportunities with a small audience, right? So what size matters, right? What is it? What is that one? I know I hooked you at the very beginning and said there's one thing that the size matters, and that is volume of content, right? And if you've been tuning into Content is Profit in the previous episodes, you know we've talked a lot about volume. We've covered Alex Hormozi, which, you know, he's blown up his social media lately. We talked about his framework, and we talked about the amount of volume that he puts. Yes, he invests $70,000 a month in his team, but that gets him about $2 million of value on impressions, right? If he was doing paid media, he would have to be paying $2 million per month to get the impressions that he's getting with the organic content that he's putting out there. And that is just because of the volume that he's doing it at. So again, what size matters? Volume and a huge amount of consistency. Because if you put a lot of pieces of content 1 week, but then you spend 2-3 weeks without doing anything, that's not going to work out either. You need huge amount of consistency and massive amount of volume. Consistency is art. We just keep repeating that. What does art stand for? Authority, relevancy, and trust. If you are consistent and you come across people's, feed pretty often, they're going to relate to you. They're going to believe that you're an authority on the field that you're talking, right? When you see somebody talking about the same topic over and over again, you tell yourself, that person must know something, right? You become relevant. When they have a problem around that topic, guess who's going to be top of mind? You, because of your consistency. And you're going to build trust, right? There's nothing that builds trust more than showing up every single time. And if they know you can be that consistent in their feed, imagine how consistent you can be in their lives, helping them solve their problems. So again, consistency is art. And the last thing is consistency creates opportunities. So we talked about, leveraging these small audiences to create opportunities and leveraging volume to create opportunities. And that's what this is all about. You put content out there and it gives you opportunities to start conversations with, then those conversations can turn into, clients or partnerships. Who knows? There's plenty of things that can happen from those conversations. Maybe just a friendship. Who knows? I'll be fine with that too. But at the end of the day, those can all happen with a small audience. You don't need a huge following, a huge number of people subscribe to make money, specifically if you're in the B2B space. All you got to focus is on building those relationships, right? So how are you using your medium to leverage those relationships? Again, I'm going to do a shameless plug right here. We have the 6-figure platform. If you want to learn exactly how to build what we did with Content is Profit, meaning having your own platform where you can bring your dream customer and then transition them into sales conversations, while at the same time multiplying the content that you're creating from there so you can create art in social media, right? You can multiply it, you can post it everywhere and create that authority, relevancy, and trust that you so much deserve. If you want to know more about that, make sure you slide in the DMs at BIZBROS. Just send me a message. We are very excited to help you out with that. So guys, I'm curious, do you still think the size matters when it comes to social media following? Or maybe you're a fan of just, playing it down low, keeping a small audience and nurturing those relationships properly. Make sure you let us know, send us a message. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with somebody that you believe this is going to help them. And before I forget the intro, here we go. Oh, wrong button, but that's what happens when you listen to Content is Profit. There we go, guys. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Content is Profit. Make sure you slide in my brother's DMs and tell him, whoa, FONZI is an awesome host. And before you forget, make sure you subscribe in the Content is Profit podcast and listen and download all the episodes. Thank you. See ya.